So, hi again. I'm going to start the discussion. I'll give you a quick brief about myself and then we'll move on the topic of the day. So, my name is Shiv Kumar, and a quick journey in the analytics is I have spent around now 11 years working on the various analytical assignments, majorly in the management consulting firms and the boutique data sciences company. So I started my career with Tata's in one of the research team there, working for pharmaceutical analytics. So you can understand that it is related to more about understanding the effectiveness and safety of the drug. Then I spend my quick time with some of the banking and financial services consulting for Barclays in building the commercial risk models. And then I spend some of the time with Dell North America market in building some of the cross-sell and upsell model. So I worked into marketing analytics briefly after my stint in the banking and financial services. I've worked for a couple of insurers as well. They're in the workers' compensation, predicting the losses and predicting the right portfolio combination they should have to have the optimum portfolio output. I've worked for a couple of e-commerce company. One was the e-commerce, one of the gifting retailer named as Snapfish, which is majorly like selling the gift items and building there the customer attrition model, and then again building some of the cross sell and upsell model, understanding that why customer tried from the portal, so giving them the strategy around it. I currently handle some of the analytical assignments with one of the leading automotive organization in India. So I work on the various prospect of how we can enhance the conversion of the inquiries, and then how we can have the prediction of the warranty failures, understanding in some of the application of the risk prediction with respect to the dealers, and then giving them the strategy around where you can enhance the book size, working on multiple price determination and the forecasting assignments as well. So this have been my journey. I've worked in a couple of telecommunication company as well in prediction of the customer usage, customer lifetime value, and then predicting their churn. So this have been, as you can understand, that my journey have been pharma, banking and financial services, and then telecommunication, then e-commerce, and then automotive. So that is the scope of analytics in our day-to-day life. So that's what I want to connect with my introduction. By education, I graduated in mathematical statistics from BHU, and then I did my management from Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. So that's in a brief about myself. Now I would like to take you on the planned session of the day, which is introduction on advanced analytics tools and techniques, where I'm going to talk about a little bit about the statistical algorithm, but this is not going to give you the glimpse in terms of how to build a model, but something related to application. Now, I believe some of you would be looking out that how I can shape my career in analytics. So I'm going to talk about the attributes, the kind of ingredients that you need to excel into this area. So I'll talk briefly about what are the latest readings and the scaling have been with the major the firms who decides and who defines our skill metrics into this area as well. So we will talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the tools and technology that is available in today's time, and you will get the sense that if you want to initiate a project, what you should pick up basis the constraint of organization and the constraint of investment that is required on the tool. So that is going to be the landscape of our discussion today. Yeah, so that's a pretty brief about myself. Now, I'm going to quickly give you a brief about how the kind of the news that I got while preparing this webinar. So this is quite positive, and the market looks quite very aggressive in adoption of the AI and analytics as an initiative or function in their organization. So Amazon is investing quite a bit on robotics and the speech recognition techniques. Then a lot of Salesforce application, which is integrating the machine learning technique to optimize the lead prioritization and to have a better follow-ups. And in the case of the BMW, Tesla, Toyota, they are investing a lot on the kind of bringing the either automated car, either the robotics driven applications. Toyota is devoting around $1 billion in bringing the AI related functionalities and initiative in the driverless vehicles. Then Bosch, GE, Siemens, they are again building the machine learning and robotics as a core function to build a certain competency around it. IBM itself is investing a lot of money on the building the IBM Watson, which is more on a kind of a cognitive science. So this is the landscape. And now, if you want to pitch that what we are going to do in the couple of years, that seems pretty relevant. That how the market dynamics are going to be in coming time. So that looks quite green. There's a quick survey that I captured from one of the McKinsey report. So this is what the industry survey is, and the survey results are like this. So this is the various type of industry that we have listed, starting from high tech and telecommunication to automotive, financial services, utilities, retail, education, and so on. And then in the yellow, you can see the companies who have taken the proactive strategy to adopt AI. And in the blue, you can see who have done the partial adoption of the AI and analytics. And in the gray, you can see that the company who are still thinking to take it into their environment. So the organization which have taken the higher and the proactive, the strategy to adopt AI, you can see that they have gained around 10 to 15 points higher than the revenue what the companies who have either done the partial adoption of the analytics and AI, than the organizations who have not yet started with. So you can understand what is the kind of strategy you need to adopt the AI and analytics. So as I see that, imagine the organization in the financial services where they have done the proactive strategy to adopt AI to understand either the customer behavior, either the risk, either the various prioritization, they have gained much higher, whereas the organization which they have done either partial adoption just as a pilot or certain experiment have been a bit laggard, and they have not been able to make a lot of progress in their kind of the revenue targets. Similarly, you can see that a lot of innovation has happened in the case of the healthcare as well. And in the case of travel and tourism, still they have to pick up. However, a lot of initiative that is more on a kind of designing the DNA of travelers and the customer preferences that is coming. They are still designing the AI-based application, which can design what can be the next best offer or the recommendation system for them. So that is how the landscape, and you can relate with your organization where you stand in today's time, and whether you are still waiting to adopt AI, or whether you are still having some of the pilot getting executed at your end, or you are the proactively adopted the AI and the kind of, so you can see the changes and benefits. Let me tell you how you can start your journey in the analytics. So I'm going to relate with my one of a stint, like while I was visiting Nasik here, very near to Mumbai. So I visited for the wine testing experience, and then at the wine testing, I was asked that the way you have to taste the wine is you have to look the glass, look the wine, and then swirl the wine, and then you have to smell it, and then you have to taste it. So that is what the context when you go to the wine testing experience. However, I as a statistician read long back, okay, what was the experiment behind the wine testing and how they were able to predict the wine taste or determine the wine taste. So the equation that I remember, and you can read the book named as Super Crunchers, and the methodology is defined there. So imagine the rainfall and the kind of humidity and the temperature in the season that is going to define the quality of the ingredient, and that is going to define the kind of the taste of the particular vintage. So imagine that we taste the wine and how the statistician or the economist taste the wine. So you imagine in your area that how you can design the algorithm which can tell you that how you're going to understand either the customer, their preference, or the many other things that you can think of doing. So one that is needed to move into analytics, if you are into the non-analytics function, is definitely the thought process, which is quantitative or quant driven, and or you can understand that which is more business and the logic that you should have along with the quantitative skill. So that is the one understanding, and what I'm trying to showcase with this is that you think a scenario and you think that wherever you have captured and how it can be related to the kind of projections, either the predictions that we do. So what I'm going to quickly talk about, how analytics is going to enable the enterprise. So imagine the today's time where we have to understand how we can model the customer experience and behavior. What are the business processes that we need to change and transform, not only for the recommendation but also for the kind of actions that you want to enable, and few of them can be automated in nature. So data analytics is going to help you across the organization, which is either going to take you to ensure the optimal output of the any of the function that you are handling. You are going to take any decision that is going to make it efficient, either guide you on every interaction or the functions that you are going to manage, either going to optimize the every delivery process as well. So this is what is changing in today's time. Along with your traditional processes and method, we need to integrate the kind of engines which are going to help you in automating and giving the recommendation engine, which is going to optimize your decision making process. So now, what have been the journey? So journey, imagine the long back when we used to get the some of the data from some of our secondary research, either in the market research firm. We used to get certain focus study group. We used to get certain audience on a product, and we used to gather their information and think about the kind of the conceptual framework that we need to build. But now in today's time, we have started capturing a lot of our footprints using the digital platforms. So for an example, where you are traveling, where you are going, and how much you're spending on your transportation is all getting captured in today's time. Earlier, you were required to do certain survey that, okay, how much monthly you spend on your travel. However, in today's time, there are the intelligent application which you are using for your commutation, and you are blocking uh, your travel trips, and now people are knowing that what you're going to do into the various day on the kind of the travel spends. So now the data is not the kind of question which you are supposed to struggle for it. It is there for your disposal, and then now the idea is that how you're going to materialize this data into the actionable insights, or how you're going to monetize this information that you as a business, if you hold, right? So that is what in today's landscape is, and then you have to define the matrices which are going to help you to design those predictive engine. Now, so I call it as a business analyst framework, and I'll talk in little length that how you're going to enable people with the information system, and how the processes are going to give you the results, and then how you're going to consume it. So this is going to define your entire competitive landscape that you're going to draw with the help of analytics. So for an example, if I just give you the kind of how you're going to enable the decision capabilities. It can be like the collaboration in decision making. There can be the intelligent decision automation and multiple application to have you the result view and the kind of simulation on the business side. Then the platform which is going to help you with the diagnostics, descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive capabilities. And you need to understand that what is the journey sequence has to be defined. Like, first of all, if you have the data, you should start consuming the data in the descriptive format. You should know about the usage of the data, how what is happening in the business. It can give you the what is the current situation of the business. If something we need to do the drill down, then diagnostic analysis is going to help you. Once we have the diagnostics, we want to know the future, that what is going to happen, and basis that you need to design certain statistical algorithm which is going to help you in the predictive scenario. And once you have the prediction, you are going to prescribe the business what you are going to do with this output. So that is how the journey is going to be, and you have to enable all the platforms which is going to connect it with the data in sync and to process the information on real time. So that's how the entire system, the business model, and this business strategy is going to now rely on the data and its various outcome. So let me quickly connect on the future focus and how we see the entire journey is going to be. So one, we have designed, or we are trying to look on the multiple data and the input sources. So these are the systems that you need to streamline, and this can be the example of some of the structured data. So mostly the transaction systems are of your structured in nature. However, unstructured data, like wherever the customers are talking to your, let's say, customer care, where they are passing the feedback to your customer care. So these are mostly written in text, either some of the conversation on the feedback that is happening with your customer representative and the customer are going to be unstructured data. So how you are going to align and make it appropriate so that it is going to get used for model building. So what do I mean by making a system which is going to be supervised or unsupervised? So supervised, where you take a historical trend and behavior of the customer attributes to predict the future behavior. So this is again in the historical ways, the bank used to take last 2 year data to understand the customer behavior. However, in today's time, even the last 2 months of data is sufficient and the more relevant to design the customer DNA and the preferences. Basis the that you can design the multiple campaigns and the behavior. So supervised, where you take the historical trend and behavior, and unsupervised, where on a fly you try to design some of the not historical basis guiding variable, but basis the current attributes that you are able to see the customer behavior. So a lot of businesses who are starting new analytics or analytics as a new practice, they will adopt for the unsupervised learning first. And once they are maturing into their analytical process in their data capturing, in streamlining the data sources, they're going to adopt the supervised learning. And then you're going to push this supervised and unsupervised learning to the business functions, where you need a big transformation where business is going to transform and they use this kind of output and getting this some of the exploratory, predictive, and classification result in their day-to-day uses. So that is what the your landscape is going to look like once you are adopting analytics as a function there. Now, let me come on the I'll quickly come on the questions like why the companies are required and how you're going to adopt the analytics as a function. So one, we say that you're going to save costs. Costs can be in from the supply chain. It can be reduction in the logistic costs. It can be the effective purchasing pattern that you want to bring. It can be the managed supply risk that you want to have. Even analytics is helping you in identifying the new opportunities. So you can read a case that how designing the new campaigns and the data-driven business is adding revenue to your business, to your various day-to-day other functions as well. So cost saving have been the one of the major drivers for this. Now, on the side of the innovation and competitive advantage, so you try to understand where you want to identify the new revenue streams, where you are going to, forecast the risk to mitigate the fluctuation in the demand. You're going to have the proactive and the reactive decisions against the business scenario. So those are the scenario where you can think of analytics adoption is going to help you. It is not only helping the improved customer experience, but it is also going to help you to align the strategy. And not only that, but enhancing the company culture. So how analytics is going to help you to enhance company culture is, imagine a scenario where you may have the multiple policies which is catering to the employees, and you may identify that one fourth of the policies are getting redundant, or it has changed as you have as your employee base have changed from more young generation has come, and you need to revamp the entire strategy. So we need to do the maximum transformation basis the number that we gather across the organization for the employee behavior, and no doubt it is going to improve your profitability as well. Now, I want you to look at your organizational landscape. So what is the landscape of analytics is, we have started the practice of looking at the standard reports, we generally have the practice, like either we create into the Excel sheets, either we have the automated system, we do the lot of ad hoc reporting, we do the query drill down and the alerts that we have for the organizer. So imagine that the value that you are gaining by this ad hoc reports and the kind of business as usual is not going to be like what you're going to reap from the advanced analytics. Advanced analytics start once you start at least doing the hypothesis testing on the data. You start certain inferential analytics. You start building some of the forecasting models, which is going to help you that what are the scenario going to come if I have the certain the business scenario taking place. Let's say like competitor launching a new product. So you need to have some of the forecasting engines to help you in that scenario. You want to have the predictive models which are going to tell you where to focus and who are the likely customer going to get converted. And optimization, where either you're designing your supply chain procurement, you have to have the optimized business strategy with the help of the numbers. So as you move from dashboarding and reporting to forecasting, predictive modeling, and prescription, the value to the organization increases. And also, if I talk now that what you need to become a part of the analytics journey, then you should start looking that you should have the ability in terms of the programming languages where you can perform statistical analysis. Either you can forecast some of the business scenario, you can predict the events can be like defaults, it can be purchase, it can be churn from the customer. So you should have the ability to forecast. Then optimization is like creating the millions of equations where you can think of the optimum allocation of your resources to optimize the benefit of the business. So that's how the value enhances multiple times when you move from business as usual to the predictive and prescriptive engine. However, the investment and skills are going to be multiplied in a way if you want to achieve the efficiency on the analytics and AI based applications. So I want you to think that if you're looking to take a journey, so you should like some of you have said that you're already working in a data in a capacity of data management. So definitely you can start adding the value by providing the descriptive analytics and diagnostics analytics. We call it as a more on a insights. And once you have the descriptive and diagnostics, you're going to have the predictive engines, which are going to help you in forecasting and the predicting the events, and then recommending the actions basis the predictions that you have. So now the question comes that what are the engines that is going to help me to bring the capability that is going to transform you from diagnostics and descriptive to predictive and prescriptive. So we will get a quick look. I have just summarized some of the tools that are getting used majorly in the various functions. Let me just quickly touch upon. So as I talk that we are going to have understanding on the advanced analytics labs. So the term is quite unclear. Anyone who is pulling even the reports, they call that, okay, I am doing analytics, and no doubt this is analytics. However, when you move to the advanced analytics, the most of the application where you need to understand that what kind of the predictive engines are going to help in different business scenarios. So we call it as a data science labs. So the data science labs are the group of people. Either you can come from engineering background having a quantitative orientation. There are people from the mathematical and statistical educational background. There are people from the management side of it who can link the business with the data and the data with the processes and who can innovate around the business. So data sciences lab are basically created to bring the high computational ability, to bring the lot of the statistical programming. Statistical programming is little bit similar, or you can say different than the system programming, which is more intended to solve the any of the statistical model in nature, which is quite difficult in terms of calculation using any of the Excel or other our day-to-day platform. So what I call it, your data science lab will have intensive activity in building some of the decision trees, maybe the multiple form of the linear and the non-linear regressions. There can be a lot of unsupervised learning that is like a clustering, and there can be various form of the clustering. It can be k-means, it can be the hierarchical, it can be the multiple other forms as well. And so now if I try to help you, that you should have in your data sciences lab ability to transform the unstructured data to structured data, and where you can have the competencies where you can do the exploration around the big data. You can think about the process refinement basis the data, what story it is building. So data science labs are generally a cross-functional view. You can have some of the folks coming from the business expertise as well, which can bring a lot of the business insights and the business specific trends and behavior, which a data scientist can try to fit into the equation to predict and simulate the real-time scenarios. So what is the current time challenge? So a lot of the old organization, they work in silos. For an example, there may be a lot of information can be available with the marketing, but it is not getting monetized with the sales. And a lot of information can be with the service, which is not getting monetized by the sales function. So you can think of the data science labs works as an integration of the multifunctional information into the data building engine, which is going to help you to build those predictive and prescriptive recommendation engine, and then you're going to provide the business actionable insights to the various functions that you have. So that's how the kind of the lab works. Now let me quickly touch upon, and I will just jumble up, because the question is, what makes you today's analytics leader? So uh, I'm just going to discuss in brief. However, before starting this, I would like you to address the poll that is scheduled for you. So you can check your panel where you can have the poll section, and you can just express your thoughts on the poll. And I'll be just able to see your results, and then we'll come on what makes you today's analytics leader. Yeah, so let me talk about the skills that you need. And so let me tell you the condition of AI in India. So I have, again, I captured some of the discussion around it. So if you are on my slide, why scope of AI deployment have been limited? So you can just, I'm going to answer what is the condition at the today's time in India and like in general as well. So, means we have got the confidence that, okay, churning the data is going to bring the next level efficiency in the business. However, the giving the quantitative view that what is the additional benefit that you have gained by the application of the AI is still a kind of a matter of debate, where data scientists or the kind of a data analytics as a function and the business functions, they debate around it, because many times the functions which are already existing. Yes, so still, like the leaders, they have the question to themselves that what AI can do for them, where to obtain the AI powered application. So still, because now when the market has changed, everybody is claiming that we got a machine learning and artificial intelligence software. So this is creating a lot of confusion in the system, that which platform and software to adopt to build a transformation and efficiency in your business. So this is another clutter that I can say that many of the players and competitors are talking about it. Then again, if you have brought certain applications which is quite efficient in building your data churning and the predictive models, but integrating with your existing system like your customer service and the transaction system in the sales, marketing, service, and even in the procurement or the supply chain, they are going to find a challenge. And another challenge what we feel is also upgrading the existing challenge, where people have already spent, like some of you said that I have 12 years of experience in mainframe, but think about a person with 12-year experience in supply chain, and you're going to say that, hey, I know how you have done the placement of the various orders, let me tell you how the predictive model is going to tell you. Imagine that you go to the wine tester, you say that, hey, let my equation tells you what can be the quality of the wine of certain vintage. So still the adoption has to happen, and especially in the case of the Indian organization, they are still the survey that I have shared with you is still into the kind of a pilot phase. They have not done full hog, and I think it is a transition time. Mostly we are experimenting with the kind of tools and technology, and we are trying to get into cross-functional discussion that whether it is helping them to take the right decision quickly and efficiently or not. So it is going to take time to transform people. However, if I talk about the leadership willingness to bring the kind of adoption of AI and the machine learning and analytics is quite high. Everybody wants to transform their function by the application of analytics and the multiple tools and platform. However, because of the investment, maybe like you know tools and technologies are ready, but is my organization or are the organizations are ready to adopt those tools and technologies? So this is the current landscape. So I would rate, in comparison to the the developed companies or the kind of technology driven companies, the traditional companies are yet to find their way. They have to still test and validate and verify the concept that whether they want to take up this AI journey at this point in time, or they are still waiting that what other people are fetching from this entire activity. If my competitor news is coming that okay, they have done the adoption of certain better way of targeting their customer, then they are getting into a scenario that okay, why not I can start. So some are followers, some are early adopters, but still we are into transition, and especially for the Indian organization, still they are required to work on what data they are looking for, what kind of information they should store. So still it has to transform scientific. Majorly the informations are getting captured just for the sake that we have to capture the information. So we have to have the clarity of objective that why we are trying to capture this information. Are we looking for to ask such 40 questions to the customers, or am I done if I ask just 15 to 20 relevant questions to the customers? So this is again, it has to reach on a scientific conclusion, and I think it is going to take its another at least 4 to 5 years time, where we are going to be more logical on creation of our data sources. We are going to improve the accuracy and the kind of effectiveness of the data capturing system. In today's time, we may have the data capturing platform, but means majority of the data can be junk. It can have errors. So you need to have to improve on the quality of the data as well. So that is the current scenario, I can say that. And for again the companies, the examples where I'll just take you on a slide, and I hope there's no lag in the screen and you are able to see the screen, where the companies who are able to make the advantage maximum, companies like Tesla and Google Car, then a lot of the your end mile transportation startups like Ola, Uber, Lyft. They are capturing your day-to-day activity very well. They are able to monetize the data. They are able to now look into the better way of the customers, the way the traditional businesses are still looking on. So it is now starts with the legacy of the business as well. The businesses which are very old in nature, which are existing, let's say pre your 90s, they have to really take transformation into their systems. They still have to work on multiple initiative where they can smoothen either the make the better data acquisition strategy. The new age companies, which I can say that the startups of, let's say, year onwards 2000 or 2005, they have been very systematic that how they're going to monetize the data. Rather, I can say that they are doing the business basis data as their set pillar. So they are very clear on that, what they want to capture and how they want to monetize it. It is just a matter that they have to bring the right shape and scale of processing that data and bringing in the usage. So Samir, I wish I have answered your questions, and how is the current adoption in AI, also from one of the gentlemen. Now, how to move into BA as an MBA. So Alvin Lucas have asked a question. So I'll just touch upon it. I'll go back again on the slide where I talked more on the kind of skill sets and what is going to make you the today's leader in the analytics. Some of you can confirm me if you can see my slide. The title says that what makes you the today's analytics leader, and this is again, I just did some research and I got a very relevant content at the Gartner, and Gartner has divided the skills that you need to develop. Develop is one is the your statistics. So statistics that you should have certain understanding on how you can prepare the data, how you can apply those machine learning techniques. A little bit knowledge on the operation research, which is more on the optimization. Linguistics, I translate into the more on a kind of a statistical programming understanding and the language. So you can see my screen, the dark circles, it is more related with our technical skills, and the circles with the light circle without the color in it, it's more going to have your more personality traits. So no doubt you need to have the technical expertise. Like HPC is a kind of a high performance computing ability. You should develop. You should have the good ability to develop the data into a shape which can translate it into the model building data. You need to have the understanding on the multiple statistical techniques that is available to analyze the data. Now, if I talk other than quantitative skills, you are also required to have collaborative skills, because all the projects in analytics are going to take multi-functional approach. So for an example, if you're working with the sales, you may require to have the data of your sales consultant. What is their experience, what is their the exposure into the different products they have, how long they have been working, what have been the attrition in that particular function. So sales function is driven by the human resource data. So you should be able to collaborate and think creatively that what are the different functions you are going to integrate to build the solution. Graphical artisanship is like once you have built the complex algorithm, how you're going to bring the more the readability in the results, which you are going to take it to the various business folks, and they are going to able to understand from this quantitative model into the graphical knowledge, and they are going to take actionable action on these things. So that is how and you should have the intellectual curiosity. This means that means you should question the different functions. So for an example, if I am working with the sales or the marketing team, I may questions that how is our supply chain working and how is the product fulfillment happening on the ground. So you should have those attributes, which is going to combine with your quantitative skills. We call it as a more on a soft skills, which is going to take you to the next level. Now, this is very relevant, and in today's time, in the soft skills and in the domain expertise, how you're going to get the leadership ability. Leadership is like you're going to initiate the talks and the collaboration with the functions. You need to discover the new business movements with the help of the data and analytics. You're going to identify the new revenue sources. You're going to identify the synergies in the business. So you should be very clear on the domain and the functionality of your business. Having the storytelling is one of the attribute which is talked very intensively, because imagine the scenario, you might be a great data scientist programmer, but if you're not able to translate the output of your statistical engine into the kind of a story which any normal person can consume, even assume the HR or the any of the business function expert into their day-to-day relevance with the business, it is not going to help them and not going to help you. So you should have the ability which you can where you can translate insights into the stories and which you can translate to them. You should have the again range of IT skills. It is not about only building the statistical models, but also that how you're going to create the data warehouse, how you can minimize the computation time, how you can design the parallel computation system to have the faster output. So these are the various skills that you are required to develop the kind of journey if you are planning to take it up. And now connecting with your one of the question, the person having let's say 12 year with mainframe, you may have many of the skills already existing. What you may lack in learning about a little bit of statistics, little bit programming about the statistical programming language like SAS, R, and Python kind of. So learning those tools can help you. Yeah. So I hope this answers your questions. As a fresher, you have immense scope. Like you can learn on these tools and techniques, and especially you are early at your stage, so you can be definitely adopted in some of the functions where you go with even the minimum statistical programming and the model building skills as well. So let me just cover quickly. This is another from the same report. This is for the Gartner 2016 report. Top skill gaps identified by technical professionals. So, what are the three biggest talent gaps related to the information technology, or the digital business that your organization is trying to fulfill? So, means 34 of them have said that the gap comes under where you bring the competency under the cloud related competencies. Then another 23 of them have answered data analytics. Then 22 of them have said critical thinking and the problem solving. Then again, related to, if I think of IoT is one of the area where 16 people have responded on it. Percent of response, this is in the percent. And then again, on the digitization and digital marketing, again 10% of people have responded. So data and analytics comes under the top three skills that is considered as a gap, and that's how you see the opportunity, and these are the areas where still like we are evolving. So now I'm going to talk about what happens and what are the models in the data-driven world. So in data-driven world, you have to have the discovery and innovation, and this there has to be a radical personalization based on the data. A lot of orthogonal data sets other than the existing transactional systems now you are supposed to integrate so that you can bring the more cumulative view of your business. This is going to help you as a model in the enhanced decision making. And now there have been the recommendation engine which takes you on a real time hyperscale matching, which is again more on a side of on demand and the real time analysis that you're going to have in your day to day exploration. It is going to take you on the massive data integration, and based on the data integration you're going to again run the discovery and the innovation. So now if I combine these models with our algorithmic landscape, where there are the many algorithms that you will explore as a data science professional, or to be aspiring data science professional, that including clustered and then various neural network activities, and the kind of concepts that we are developing a lot of competences into the deep learning, and a lot of algorithm which are specialized in speech analytics and the image recognition, which is going to enable with some of the traditional algorithm, which is more related to the linear and the non-linear functions that we used to have. You're going to design your use cases in resource allocation, either having the predictive maintenance, hyper personalization basis the algorithm, discovering the new trends and anomalies, and forecasting the business scenarios, price and product optimizations, even pricing for the new product launches that you're going to discover. You're going to convert unstructured data into the meaningful information. You're going to design many, the information system which are going to help you in triggering the alerts and alarms, like fraud and the default kind of scenarios. So those are the kind of changes, or the data driven world is going to see the use cases based the algorithm and the flow of data. Now let me take you on some of the attribute, what is required when you are trying to build the transformation in your organization. So think about the scenarios that if you are bringing the transformation where it is going to make your decision making process more efficient and agile, you have to have the people participation. So people, I mean to say that the one pillar that you need to strengthen is the skill sets with the people. Either it can be hiring the new talent who are already trained into the data science and the data analytics related specialization, either revamping the skills of the existing resources. In today's time, no matter how and which function and how much experience and old you are, it is required to have certain exposure and skills in the data science to remain, I can say that relevant in today's decision-making process. So people turn as one of the important pillar. Now, intent in the leadership. Definitely, the intent in the leadership is going to be one of the crucial factor which is going to help you to transform the decision making or transformation. So, more we call it as an intent is that how your top leadership is aligned with bringing the new AI and the AI powered application in the organization, and even identifying how competition is having and the growing in the adoption of the AI and analytics. So having the intent of the leadership is going to help you. Once you have the intent and the people ready, then you have to have the right data sources. There should be collection of the useful data. The data should be centrally stored. It should not be stored in your personal laptop and desktop, because you cannot leverage the and monetize the data if it is stored personally or individually. You have to identify the right tools and techniques for your function. So I'm going to talk about what are the relevant platform or the software that is going to help you to learn the analytical the journey that you want to take up for your organization. So for an example, very old and traditional organization like banking and financial services and pharmaceutical industry, still they are using SAS as one of the major data analytics or the kind of the analytical engine. Many of the new organizations where the data sizes are not so big, and even if it is big and they have designed the right storage and the parallel computation and the big data platform, they are very successfully utilizing R. So if I try to classify, the SAS still captures the around 60 to 65% market share in terms of people working on their system. The new generation companies, they have adopted R and Python, and because of its nature, R and Python, because of it is open source, so you avoid the cost of licensing, which is quite high in the case of products like SAS and SPSS. So the companies, new gen companies who do not want to land up in immediate investment in the cost of statistical platform licensing, they are very successfully using the R and Python. And because it's open source, majority of the researchers are also working on this platform, and you get to see the latest algorithm and modules available as soon as it is discovered into the research and academia. SPSS have been now it have been now the IBM product they acquired in 2009, and it's one of the great product in case of the market research. However, a lot of companies other than market research have also started using. The difference is more R and Python is your programming intensive. You need to have more number of lines written to perform a job. However, in SAS, it is just classified into the modules, which is like a procedures for every statistical algorithm. So it's very easy to apply on the various business problems, and you can get benefited if you want to have the SAS as a system for your analytics engine, because it gives you the ready-made module, and there you can get an A's in terms of deployment of analytical algorithm. It is much easier, however very costly in the application. So that is going to be your technology landscape. And if you want to start learning analytics, I would advise you to explore an R and Python, because it is available in open source, and you can get a trial version of the SPSS as well. There's a university edition of SAS also, so you can try for your application. So I'm just writing SAS University Edition, and you can use for your learning if you want to get into this software. And you can try the SPSS trial version as well if you want to get certain exposure. So thanks a lot, everyone. It's lovely talking to you, and wish you a great day. Have fun. Thank you so much.